Chapter 1, Office Favorite. They called her Kelsey the Connector. Every office has one, the person who somehow knows everyone's coffee order, birthday, breakup status, and favorite Trader Joe's snack. The one who's always organizing potlucks and secretly reshuffling the snack shelf so her favorite protein bars land on top. At my last office, I was that person. Here, I was background noise. I'd only been at the new branch 3 weeks when I realized I was a ghost in the system. Transferred from the regional hub after downsizing, dropped into a building that felt more like a social club than a tech firm. People greeted Kelsey like she was the CEO. Her desk was covered in cards, candles, glossy planner stickers, and seasonal mugs. Mine had a laptop, a lock screen I hadn't changed yet, and a half-dead cactus I hadn't had the heart to throw out. It didn't bother me at first. I liked being underestimated. My job was in IT systems, infrastructure, and internal access monitoring. I was technically above Kelsey on the org chart, though you'd never guess it by the way people deferred to her when anything went wrong. If the kitchen fridge made a weird noise, they asked her. If someone's monitor glitched, she'd ask Lila and take the credit. The funny thing was, Kelsey was always a little too helpful. She'd hover near my desk before meetings, ask questions she already knew the answers to, offer to help clean up after late-night system updates I never asked her to stay for. And she was always watching, casually, quietly. The first time I caught her glancing at my screen during a hallway conversation, I brushed it off. The third time, I changed the angle. By the end of week 4, she'd offered to get me coffee 6 separate times, and every time, I said no. Not because I didn't want it, because I knew she was building something, and it wasn't friendship. Chapter 2, Something's Missing. It started with a tablet. Not just any tablet, a company-issued iPad assigned to one of the junior analysts. It was used for secure on-site check-ins during client walkthroughs. Not particularly valuable outside the system, but internally, it had encryption protocols we weren't supposed to mess with. Any missing hardware had to be reported within 24 hours. It vanished on a Thursday. By Friday morning, the office was buzzing. Not panicked, just humming with tension. Quiet check-ins, doorway conversations, Kelsey pacing near the break room like she was waiting for someone to trip. I didn't think anything of it until she stopped me mid-hallway. "You didn't happen to see a black iPad in the lounge last night, did you?" she asked, head tilted just enough to seem casual. "We think it might have been left behind during after-hour sync?" I paused. "No, I wasn't in the lounge." She gave a little shrug. "Oh, okay, just figured you might have been one of the last ones out. Your name showed up on the swipe log after 9. I froze, just slightly. Most people wouldn't have caught it, but I wasn't most people. "That would have been the server refresh," I said. "It had to be done overnight." I logged in from the ops room. "Oh, right," she said, dragging the vowel just a beat too long. "I keep forgetting how much access you have." She smiled like it was a compliment. It wasn't. By noon, the missing tablet had been escalated to facilities. Our manager sent out a friendly reminder about equipment checkouts, subtle but direct. The phrase, "Please confirm all hardware usage is documented and secure," popped up in bold. I caught 2 people glancing at me during lunch. Not long stares, just quick, awkward eye flicks, like they were trying to decide if they should ask, or if they already knew. That afternoon, I ran a quiet check on the building's RFID badge logs. Not to violate protocol, just to understand. My name was there, like Kelsey said. 9:12 p.m., but hers was too. 8:47 p.m., and again at 9:34. She hadn't mentioned that part. She was in the building longer than I was, which meant she had opportunity and a reason to cover it up. I didn't say anything. Not yet. But I saved the logs, downloaded a time-stamped copy, backed it up to a secure drive no one else could touch. Because the story she was building, it had just sprung its first leak. Chapter 3, The Whisper Campaign. By Monday, the vibe had shifted. Not dramatically. That was the trick. It was all just subtle enough to gaslight you into thinking it was nothing. The usual morning, "Hey, how was your weekend?" greetings didn't reach my desk. The team's Slack thread felt quieter when I joined it. Like everyone else had already DM'd each other and moved on. People who normally dropped by my cube with questions about VPN credentials or login cache bugs had suddenly figured it all out on their own. I wasn't being frozen out. I was being distanced. the kind of quiet exile that comes after someone's name has been mentioned in a back-channel conversation, not directly, but adjacent, just close enough to raise eyebrows. At 10:42, I caught it directly. 2 desks behind me. Too loud to be accidental. No, I'm not saying it was her, someone whispered. But she's the only one with that kind of access, right? I didn't turn around, didn't blink. Just reached for my coffee and stared at my monitor, pretending to scroll. Kelsey walked by 2 minutes later and gently placed a tray of pastries on the break table. A just because surprise. She smiled too widely at me when she passed. I didn't return it. By noon, it was official. An email from HR. Subject line, quick touch base, please confirm availability today. My stomach didn't drop, it clenched. HR never touches base about missing electronics. Not unless there's already smoke. I replied with a time and walked in 5 minutes early. The HR rep, Monica, smiled like she wished she didn't have to be there. I just wanted to check in, she said. It's probably nothing. There's been a few questions about after-hours access and your system permissions. I nodded. You mean the tablet? She blinked. I didn't say tablet. You didn't have to. She exhaled like I'd saved her the trouble. We're not making any accusations, she added quickly. But there are concerns. And because of the nature of your role, we're going to ask that you temporarily surrender your credentials while we review badge access and security logs. You mean my job? She hesitated. Your title remains unchanged, but my tools are gone. Monica didn't argue. I'll cooperate, I said, but I want a formal statement, in writing, confirming the scope and timeline of this review and what policies you're invoking. Her eyebrows lifted. Of course, I'll have that to you by end of day. I nodded once. And when it's over? I hope it's quick. I stood. I hope it's thorough. Chapter 4, Access Denied. By Tuesday morning, I was officially a shadow. My keycard still worked at the front desk, just barely, but everything else, gone. My email account, locked. Admin tools, disabled. The secure VPN I used for elevated log access, dead. The silence was immediate and total, like someone had flipped the switch and erased my existence inside the system I used to manage. I sat at my desk, powered on the monitor, and watched it reject me. One denial message after another. Access revoked. Access revoked. Access revoked. I didn't panic. Not because I wasn't angry, I just knew something they didn't. Because while they'd locked down my current credentials, no one had thought to trace the old infrastructure protocols I'd helped build during onboarding. See, corporate IT is like a skeleton. You can strip the muscle, change the skin, move the eyes and hair. But the bones? The bones take time to break. And I knew where they buried the old ones. There was a legacy file share on the internal backup server, a folder with a dry name and an outdated indexing system most people thought was deprecated, but tucked inside it, updated nightly by an automatic retention script, video, old security footage, cached redundantly in 720p, labeled by floor and timestamp. They hadn't wiped it because they didn't know it was still writing. They didn't know because I had set it up, not for surveillance, just for redundancy. But now it was my insurance policy. I waited until most people had cleared out that night, slipped into the building using my generic employee badge, not mine exactly, but borrowed from the test set we kept for troubleshooting bad scans. The system had it labeled D. Shaw, dormant account, no profile photo, just a working key code. I used the side stairwell, no cameras. The IT office was empty. I sat down, logged into the local backup machine, which still recognized my name, even if the corporate server didn't, and began pulling files. The lounge, the front hallway, my office, the loading dock. I copied everything from the past 2 weeks. There was no rush, because they'd made one big mistake. They thought locking me out meant I was gone, but I built the system they were hiding in, and it still recognized me, even if they didn't. Chapter 5, Night Shift, Story Map Correspondence. Lila returns after hours with a decoy badge and extracts archived camera footage. I watched it happen 3 times. The first time, I wasn't even sure what I was seeing. The second time, I leaned closer. By the third, I hit pause at exactly 8:52 p.m., 3 days before the iPad was reported missing. There she was, Kelsey, walking briskly past the front lounge, holding a small canvas tote that hadn't been with her when she'd arrived. The feed from the front hallway was grainy, a leftover from an older camera install, but I could still make out the Apple logo glinting through the canvas when she paused to swipe her badge, the iPad. I fast-forwarded. 20 minutes later, another angle, the hallway outside my office. Kelsey again, no tote this time, just a piece of paper in her hand and a plastic cup from the downstairs cafe. She looked relaxed, like she belonged there. She didn't. My office was locked that week, and no one, not even Kelsey, had business being inside it. I cross-referenced the time with the badge log I'd pulled the week before. Kelsey's name never appeared on the admin level past 6:45 p.m., but D. Shaw's did. A dormant test badge no one ever used, except the night the system flagged a failed credential sync, right after midnight. She'd used the dummy account, just like I had. She must have been watching me, learning the backdoors, and now she was using them to frame me. I sat back in the chair, lit only by the blue glow of the monitor, watching frame after frame spool forward in awkward half-second blocks. And then, at the end of the hallway clip, one frame nearly missed. She walked out of my office, carrying the coffee cup, but her hand wasn't empty. She dropped something in the hallway trash bin before disappearing around the corner. At 1:12 a.m., I found the next clip. Different angle, same trash bin. She threw it away, an empty protein bar wrapper. The same kind she kept stacked behind her desk, and an old printout from our help desk queue. With my name circled in pink highlighter. Evidence, planted, timed, staged like a tech mistake, sloppy enough to make it look like I'd tried to wipe something and failed. I rewound one more time. Then I saved the clip. All of it. The footage, the logs, the badge use, and the moment her cover slipped, just enough to give me everything I needed. She thought I was quiet. She forgot I was watching. Chapter 6. Frame by frame. There's a moment in any good frame job where the person gets sloppy. Kelsey's was subtle. Barely a breath of hesitation. But it was there. A 2-second pause at the lounge door. She looked up, not directly into the camera, but almost. Her shoulders stiffened, like she realized she was being recorded, but decided it didn't matter. She thought she had control of the narrative. She didn't know I had the whole system. I stitched the footage together, frame by frame. 3 angles, 4 timestamps, the perfect arc. Clip 1. Kelsey slipping the iPad into her canvas tote while chatting with a junior associate. Laughing like nothing in the world could touch her. She walks off-screen with the device. No checkout logged. Clip 2. The hallway outside my office. She enters using the decoy badge. No company-issued bag. Just a to-go coffee and something in her hand. A printout I'll later match to an internal ticket flagged under my name. Clip 3. She exits my office, drops the trash in the hallway bin. A bar wrapper, identical to the kind she'd offered me a week earlier, and kept stacked in her bottom drawer like a badge of lifestyle branding. Clip 4. The help desk terminal. Timestamped just 20 minutes after her last appearance. A request entered under my name. One I never submitted. One she clearly forged. I didn't need a confession. I had a timeline. I had digital footprints, and I had footage. I made clean copies, burned them to a branded flash drive we used for internal demos. Then I created 2 duplicates, one for HR and one for legal. The third, that one was for the company's internal Slack channel. Specifically, the Monday morning good vibes only thread that Kelsey posted in religiously. I scheduled the upload for 8:55 a.m., right as the office filled with coffee and small talk, right before the masks went on, right when they'd least expect it. Chapter 7. The Playback. Monday started like any other. Kelsey breezed in around 8:42 a.m., iced latte in hand, curls still damp from her morning routine, and a cardigan slung just so over one shoulder. She did her usual lap, greeting everyone by name, checking the snack shelf, asking someone near the copier how their dog's surgery went. I watched it unfold from the bench, just outside the building. I wasn't allowed inside yet. HR hadn't finished their internal review. My desk sat empty, my badge inactive, but my account still had just enough ghost permissions left in the system to automate one last message. 8:55 a.m., sharp. Slack pinged. Start your week with a smile. Something funny happened in the lounge last week. CC, HR, legal, facilities. Click to view. Security feed 4B stamped, MOV. It took 11 seconds. That's how long the first clip ran, before everything in the office changed. Kelsey's voice rang out from across the floor. Wait, what is that? The room fell quiet. One person laughed, then stopped, then silence. The video kept playing, clipped but clean. No narration, just footage. Kelsey slipping the iPad into her bag. Kelsey entering my office. Kelsey discarding the trash. Receipts, frame by frame. The ping storm started next. Someone tagged HR, another tagged IT. Someone else posted a wide-eyed emoji and then deleted it immediately. At 9:03 a.m., Kelsey went silent. She stopped typing, stopped moving, just stood there, one hand still gripping the edge of her desk, like she was waiting for the floor to open up and swallow her whole. It didn't, but the conference room door did. Monica from HR stepped out. She wasn't smiling. Kelsey, she said, voice cool and measured. Can I see you in here, please? The entire floor watched as she walked toward the glass-walled room. No one said a word. Chapter 8, Exit Interview. They didn't walk her out right away. No cardboard box, no coat thrown over personal items, no dramatic finale. That wasn't how this office operated. Instead, Kelsey sat in HR's glass-walled conference room for nearly 40 minutes. The blinds were drawn halfway, but I could still see the top of her head, motionless, hands folded. Monica sat across from her. A third person joined the meeting 10 minutes in. Someone from legal. By the time they were done, Kelsey emerged slowly. No latte, no grin. She didn't look at anyone. Not when she passed the front desk. Not when she reached her own cubicle and silently began removing items from the drawers. Just the essentials. A planner. Her laptop charger. The pig-stickered water bottle she never went anywhere without. At her desk, someone had left a sticky note. I couldn't see what it said, but she ripped it off quickly, crumpled it, and stuffed it into her tote. By 10:23, she was gone. No Slack announcement, no goodbye message. Just gone. My reinstatement was quieter. I received a formal apology from HR that afternoon, riddled with phrases like misunderstanding, insufficient verification, and deeply regret the confusion. They said the footage altered the investigatory landscape and confirmed that my clearance would be restored by end of day. I was also invited, carefully, to join a follow-up conversation with leadership about digital security improvements. I accepted, but not for the reason they expected. When I walked back into the office Tuesday morning, no one looked me in the eye. Not directly. There were awkward nods, a few muttered welcomes, one overcompensating smile from a junior dev who suddenly remembered I existed. Kelsey's desk sat empty. A plant remained behind, one of those neon pothos vines she liked to rescue from Trader Joe's. Everything was untouched. My chair, my monitor, the cactus. I booted up my terminal. System access restored. First login in 8 days. The welcome message blinked. Welcome back, Mendoza L. I sat for a moment before typing. Then I smiled. Not big, just enough. Because I wasn't just back. I was the one who rewrote the ending. Chapter 9, the policy update. They offered me a promotion by Thursday. It came in the form of a late afternoon calendar invite marked Quick Sync Leadership Follow-Up. Monica from HR was there. So was David from legal, and one of the directors I hadn't spoken to since my first week. They smiled like they meant it. We want to acknowledge how calmly and professionally you handled a very difficult situation, Monica said. I nodded. I didn't say, you mean how I solved a crime while suspended, but I thought it. David folded his hands. We're also reviewing the gaps in internal access control that made this possible. We'd like your input. They meant they didn't want me talking about how they almost fired the wrong person. We're prepared to offer a role that reflects your unique skill set, the director added, sliding a printed job spec across the table. Senior systems oversight, hybrid reporting structure, full autonomy, a title upgrade, and a modest pay adjustment. Modest. I skimmed it. Clean title, respectable bump, but that wasn't what I wanted. I'd like to propose something else, I said. Sliding my own folder forward, 3 pages, titled Mendoza Protocol, a layered verification framework for internal resource access and digital forensics. David raised an eyebrow. You named it after yourself? I did. Monica leaned forward. Walk us through it. I did. Layer by layer, passive badge monitoring, biometric sync backups, real-time logging of access overrides, and automated alerts for ghost credentials like the one Kelsey used. None of it was complicated, just ignored. Until now. By the time I finished, the room was quiet. Would this have caught the breach earlier? The director asked. I met his eyes. It would have made it impossible. He nodded slowly. We'll circulate it for review. We'll implement it, I said. Or I won't be staying. A long pause, then Monica smiled. You really are quiet until you're not, aren't you? Exactly, I said. Chapter 10, Last Day of Silence. The office had finally gone still, not empty, just still in that late afternoon way when the meetings stop and the keyboards slow down, and everyone pretends they have more work to do than they actually do. I liked it that way. The Mendoza Protocol had been approved 2 days ago. It rolled out with minimal fanfare, a clean Slack announcement, a one-pager pinned to the hashtag updates channel, and a quiet training schedule sent to department leads. No drama. Just policy. Just like I wanted. Since then, I'd been approached more in 48 hours than in the previous 8 weeks combined. People I barely knew suddenly remembered my name. A developer I'd never spoken to thanked me for handling it with grace. One of the admin assistants left a chocolate bar on my desk with a note that said, "For not letting her get away with it." I didn't respond to the messages, but I read every one. They weren't apologies, but they were recognition. I finished my tasks for the day just before 5, logged out of the system, powered down my screens. Then I opened the bottom drawer of my desk. Inside, neat folders, one old company badge, a tangled charger I still hadn't thrown out. I reached in and added one more item, a tiny black USB drive, matte finish. No label, except for the one I'd written in silver marker along the edge. Plan B. It wasn't a threat. It was a reminder that I'd seen what people were capable of when they felt protected by perception, when they thought I wouldn't fight back. And next time, I wouldn't wait until it got personal. I'd already built the system. All I had to do was hit play.
Thanks so much for watching. If you love a good revenge story, or if you've ever dreamed of getting the last word without saying much at all, you're in the right place. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new savage ending. Because around here, karma always hits different.